All right, welcome to the Snowflake Sports Podcast. It is the holiday of 420. It is 7:04 Eastern Standard Time. I'm joined by Cleveland Browns aficionado Kyle Ryan. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing well, Dan. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Quarantine week 5, I think, or something like that.
That long already, huh?
Yeah, it's weird because it's almost like May, and I just feel like it's gonna like get nice out, and I'm still in like March mode.
Oh
It should
yeah.
still be like winter or something.
Oh yeah.
Um,
You and me both.
Yeah. So this week we're going to talk about the Odell Beckham trade rumors as well as Leonard Fournette. Then we're going to do a deep dive into the top 10 picks of the NFL draft. Talk more about the draft that's coming up because it's actually something that's going to happen. Like I'm excited.
Yeah.
Finally something live in the
Yeah.
moment. And then we're going to wrap up with Jalen Green and Isiah Todd foregoing the NCAA, and we'll play with the G League. All right, since you're a Browns fan, and these Odell trade rumors came up, this is W fan, sports radio Mark Lewis. I don't even know who this guy is. Reported that the Cleveland Browns were discussing a trade with the Minnesota Vikings that would send Odell to Minnesota for a second and fifth round pick. This kind of fizzled, but do you think this trade will happen?
I don't think so. Not this trade necessarily. I think he'll be traded at some point. There's so many factors that go into it. One being, just if you think about it, Dan, Odell Beckham Jr. He came into the league and he was fantastic right off the bat. He made that super awesome. It wasn't even one-handed catch. It was like 3 fingertip catch. And ever since then he's been like an iconic figure. You know what I mean? I don't see someone like him finishing his career in Cleveland, Ohio. He just seems to me like somebody that, it's never really been a fit from the beginning. Just his personality and the way he is. So I think he will get traded. I don't think this exact trade per se, but I do think at some point he'll get traded. It's just not a good fit. As much as I love him, as much as I love him on the Browns and how great of a talent he is, he's not really that good of a fit with Baker Mayfield, in my opinion. At Baker, if you remember from college and even his rookie year when he was good, when he was had all that potential and people thought that he was going to be really good, he's more of a guy that kind of likes to spread the ball around and works better with receivers. You know what I mean? Kind of one star receiver like Jarvis, and then the rest kind of other guys that just kind of fit in spots. You know what I mean? He did that at Oklahoma too. And so to have a guy like OBJ who just always seems to need to have the ball in his hands, I think that eventually he will get traded for a second and fifth round pick. That doesn't make sense to me. It also doesn't make sense to me that it's Minnesota. They just got rid of one diva receiver. Do they really want to have another one? And they have all these cap issues. You know what I mean? That they're getting rid of all these guys because these cap issues. They want to bring on OBJ. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, Minnesota doesn't really make sense. And like you said, like it's another diva wide receiver, and like Odell is worse. Like Stephon Diggs is like barely a diva wide receiver,
Right.
Opinion. So the only thing, so like Kevin Stefanski, he's a big like former Minnesota OC.
Yep.
Very play action heavy, which I think will help Odell because then like you do like a play action, the corner bites on it, and then he's like just down the field gone.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it'll help like that. I don't think they'll trade him this year. Like maybe like I get your point though. Like I don't see him being a Cleveland Brown for the rest of his career. I think he needs to be in a more glitzy city like LA or Chicago.
Right.
Or something
Exactly.
Like that.
It just fits his personality better.
Yeah. So do you think they'll trade him this year or like in farther in the future, like next year or something?
I don't know. It's hard to say because this year is a make it or break a year for Baker, and they kind of need to do all they can to help him. You know what I mean? So getting rid of in my opinion, a top 10 receiver, some might argue top 5 receiver, getting rid of him, you're trying to help Baker. That's only going to hurt him. But then again, like I mentioned, he doesn't, I don't know. It's just not a great fit with Baker. But I don't think they'll trade him this year. If they do, I would want no more than at least a first round pick. Somebody, I don't know where I heard it from, to be quite honest with you, Dan, but I did hear a rumor out there that the Jets might be interested. They need a wide receiver, and we need a safety. So why not trade Jamal Adams and the 11th pick for OBJ and the 10th pick, and just kind of swap guys and swap picks? It was a rumor that I heard. I don't remember who it was that said it, but that made me interested, to be honest. We do need a safety. Jamal Adams is young, but the problem with that would be, then you got to pay him, Jamal Adams, and it's a safety. Not to diminish the safety position, but you really only pay guys money like that when they're edge rushers or quarterbacks or left tackles. You know what I mean? So you could kind of find a safety that'll be sufficient enough where if you really want to trade him and then have to pay him, and especially because they already, the Giants took on most of Odell's money, but nobody's really going to want to trade for Odell's money. So we'll probably have to pay a little bit for that. So I don't know if I like that idea. To answer your question, I don't think they'll trade him this year because they need to do everything they can to help Baker. But it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think it'll happen, but if it did happen, it certainly wouldn't surprise me. And I don't know if I want it to happen this year, but like I mentioned, I do want to trade. It's not a good fit. He's a diva, and he's a fantastic player. Don't get me wrong. But it just seemed to me that Baker was trying to force feed him the ball. And if you look at the statistics, they prove it. When Baker was thrown to Odell Beckham, Baker wasn't very good. So it's not a great fit. I don't think they'll trade him this year, but it certainly wouldn't surprise me if they did. And I wouldn't, honestly, I would prefer if they did. I just want something good in return. A 2nd and 5th round pick, that made me laugh. Especially because the 2nd round pick for the Vikings is essentially a 3rd rounder because they made the playoffs last year. So it's like, I don't know, pick 60s or like 59 or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you gave up the 17th overall pick for a 3rd round pick, which ended up being 95, I think it was, or 65, I think it was. And then you gave up Jabril Peppers, who was a safety with high upside. You know what I mean? And so to only get a 2nd and 5th round pick, that alone made me angry. So
yeah, definitely. I like that trade, the Jamal Adams. If I'm a Browns fan, I guess the money thing would be an issue. Just because, even in the secondary, you're paying the corner more than you're paying a safety.
Right, more than you're paying a safety. That's my point. Exactly.
Yeah. But
and you still got to pay Miles. You got to pay, if he pans out, you got to pay Baker. You got to pay that. Denzel Ward, he's been hurt a little bit, but when he's healthy, he's a lockdown corner, and he's, same draft class as Baker, so you got to worry about him. You know what I mean? All these guys got to get paid eventually within the next 2 years. So you just got to be careful about spending too much money. Right now we have more than enough money, but that just needs to go towards those guys. I'm sorry to interrupt and get off topic.
Oh, no worries. No, that makes. I was gonna also just add Garrett and Nick Chubb too. I just also.
Oh, Nick Chubb even, yeah. I don't now. We can talk about this all day long. I don't like paying running backs, and as much as I love Nick Chubb, I don't want to pay him in 2 years, but. We could talk about that at a different time, but that's just me. That's my opinion.
That's fair. So Jamal Adams, though, I feel like he's just so integral in what the Jets are. I think he's a more important Jet than Sam Darnold is at this point. So I don't think the Jets would ever.
I don't know, man. Adam Gase, he's not the smartest guy in the world.
He's kind of a wild card. He's him and David Gettleman are just two peas in a pod.
They really are. Not to mention last year they were they sat him down and said to his face, "We're not going to trade you." And then 2 days later, they almost traded him to I think it was the Cowboys. The Cowboys had an offer on the table, and they almost traded him. You know what I mean? It's all. I don't think they should either, but who knows, man? It's the Jets, and it's.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand. They picked up Rashad Perriman, which I thought was a great deal for them because they have no wide receivers.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah. It was kind of sneaky, and then but also so the way we can talk about how bad the Jets are too, but the way they didn't use Le'Veon Bell was just atrocious, and the fact that they had a third string quarterback in and they just barely fed him the ball was that was so ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, Jets are bad. That's moral of the story. All right, moving on. Leonard Fournette. There's some trade rumors going around there. I think supposedly today I saw that the Bucs are not interested in getting him.
They're not.
No, which was kind of weird. Yeah.
That's where I thought he would go. That makes the most sense to me, like fit wise. They need a running back, and they're kind of win now mode. So wow.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, I don't get. So he's like cheap. He's at $4 million in this fifth-year option.
He's not very good. He's okay. He's okay.
I think he's okay. He's a 1,000-yard rusher. He increased his receptions by I think he doubled them last year.
No, you're right. I don't know. I don't like the guy personally. I don't think like he had so much hype. He was. It's college. It's different than the NFL, but he. 2 years ago when he was or 3 years ago when he was in college, he was a sophomore, so maybe he was 4 years ago at this point. He had the Heisman Trophy one in September, and then all of a sudden, he kind of broke down a little bit. And then as the years have gone on, he starts out really well, and then as the years go on, he kind of breaks down. Last year, he did really well in September and October. November and December, he kind of broke down a little bit. I mean, I would, don't get me wrong, he's relatively cheap. I would go for him for like a 4th-round pick, maybe even a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah, but it's sounding like there's almost no options out now. So like he's not going to the Bucks. I think I read something where it's like the Seahawks, the Bills, and what was the other? Maybe interested.
Ooh, see that's me. I have here written down. I thought the 3 teams that made sense to me were the Bucks and then the Bills, just to kind of go with Singletary. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Singletary's kind of the change of pace, elusive guy, where Fournette's more of the battering ram. So they could kind of flip-flop. And then I also thought of the Rams because Todd Gurley's gone now. So I thought maybe that would be a pretty good fit for him. But then again, they don't really have much draft capital to give up.
Though, yeah, and I think Sean McVay's really high on Darrell Henderson.
Oh, yeah.
So, like if you bring that in, it might just cause that tension and stuff. And they have their own cap issues, even though
that's true. They're in
million.
Salary cap hell.
Yeah.
Even after getting rid of all those guys, they're still in salary cap hell.
Yeah, they bought into that 1 year and then lost, and they're just kind of paying the repercussions for that. So Seahawks, right? Doesn't really make sense because you got Chris Carson and Rashad Penny.
That doesn't make sense.
So I didn't really see that. The Bills actually, it does kind of because it's cheap, basically cheap for. Even though he played
to replace him with Fournette.
I think he's an improvement. He's younger. You could really see like a Fournette Singletary thing kind of go out that. I could see that. I don't really. You get a late 2nd-round pick or like a mid-late 2nd-round pick. I don't know if that's what they really want, but at this point, it doesn't really seem like they have many options. So if they could fleece him, I'm down for that.
A 2nd-round pick, is that what they're asking for?
I don't.
Who the hell's gonna give him that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's more like 3rd or 4th or something.
That's funny.
I really hear they don't really have many suitors. Like after the Bucks fell apart, it's just like these teams are just like they're not really interested, but they're just like it's conversation pieces. I do kind of like the Dolphins though, because they have 3 1st-round picks coming up this Thursday, and then they have I think 2 in the 2nd round, so they have the capital. They did sign Jordan Howard, who's okay or so, and they just might not want to get someone like that in their locker room. I don't really know.
Well, that's the other thing about him. The only other, again, he like you said, he's cheap option, and for a late round pick, I would take a flyer on him. Not me as a Browns fan because we already have Chubb and Hunt, but again, if I'm the Bills or maybe some team out there, but you got to also keep in mind, Dan, that he. Like you said, with you just mentioned locker room issues. This is a guy that a week ago was basically begging the Jaguars to bring Cam Newton aboard. Basically saying straight to Gardner Minshew's face, hey man, you kind of suck. I don't want you here. I want Cam Newton here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to keep that in mind. Like you mentioned with character issues, who's going to want a guy that doesn't even support his own quarterback? Now I know, I think we could agree that Cam Newton is probably better than Minshew, even an injured Cam Newton, but still. You can't do that.
Yeah, no. And especially you're going to go with the quarterback all day over a kind of disappointing running back.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, not a whole lot here. Do you have any other?
And you're going to have to pay him next year.
Yeah.
And he's going to want.
Paying a running back. He's going to want
the money.
Yeah.
Like I said, like you just mentioned, I'm me paying running backs. Listen, Christian McCaffrey is probably the best running back in the NFL. He 1,000% deserved the money he just got, the $16 million a year.
Yeah.
He absolutely deserved that. The stuff that he has done in these 3 years that he's been in the NFL is absolutely remarkable. Me personally, as a Panthers fan, Like, if I was a Panthers fan, I wouldn't have wanted to pay him that money. But, again, he's their entire offense, and he is worth it. So I get it. I'm iffy on running backs, Dan. It's easier to find a running back than it is to keep a good one good for a long period of time, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you have Adrian Peterson and you have Frank Gore. But other than that, and LaShawn McCoy, but you don't really get guys like that anymore. Perfect example is the Bills. I mean, they found Devin Singletary in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
You can just find running backs nowadays. There's no need to pay these guys all this money when they're getting smashed by 300-pound linemen every single play. You know what I mean? Again, that's a topic for a different day. I don't mean to go off topic. It infuriates me when these running backs, like the Rams, are living proof. I mean, they're going through right now. They paid Todd Gurley all that money, and now look at him.
Yeah.
They regretted as soon as he signed, put pen to paper. They regretted that contract.
Well, I think they're also kind of regretting that golf contract too.
Yes, that too. You're right. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
I think you're like smarter GMs are like more on your side because it's much more of a passing game now, and it's just like it's part of like the system. Like you have a good offensive line, like any running back should be able to find a hole. So I guess
look at the 49ers. Shanahan's system, you find running backs anywhere. If you get a guy in that system, Devontae Freeman was the top 5 running back the year they made the Super Bowl because he was in Shanahan's system, and now look at him. Now he's not even on a team. You know what I mean? You could find him anywhere. And Fournette, like you mentioned, he did increase his catches, absolutely, and credit where credit's due. But I still don't think of Leonard Fournette as a 3-down back. I think of him as a bruiser on 1st and 2nd down. And again, you said in this pass happy league, do you want to pay a guy that?
Yeah.
You want to
No.
The Chiefs though are also. I heard the Chiefs are interested.
Oh yeah.
That would not be a bad idea. Anything to help Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they're pretty cap safe, right? Because like Mahomes is still on his rookie contract. Like,
yep. They got some stuff they got to figure out, but it's the NFL, man. They'll figure something out.
Yeah. Plus, I think the caps went up this year, right? Because they got like a new deal.
I believe it did. Yes.
So like they don't have to worry about it. All right, draft is coming up Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm excited. Some new stuff. What are they doing? What are they doing? Is it like a Zoom call or is it some virtual?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what program they're using, but yes, Dan, it's like a virtual thing, and people are kind of freaking out about it because they don't really know what to expect. 1 and 2 is, I don't know if you heard about it today, but they did like a mock draft today to try to see what it's going to be like, and the very first pick was screwed up already.
Really?
Oh yeah, like in the Bengals pick, something went wrong. Like it wasn't like the wrong player was drafted, but something about like the time stopped all of a sudden, so they had more time than was allotted or something. I don't know, but something went wrong on the very first pick, and people are like, "Oh my God, what happens if this happens Thursday?" So people are kind of freaking out about it already. But to answer your question, I don't know. It's like a Zoom, I think. I don't know if it's Zoom exactly, but
right, we'll find out. For some reason, I thought they would
be Roger Goodell hanging out.
Yeah, like for some reason I thought they would go to like Vegas and it would just be like Goodell, and then like you'd have like the GMs and their people in their own rooms, and like their separate rooms, and like they would like call Goodell with their pick or I don't know.
I think that's what it was originally before everything got shut down.
Right.
I think that's what you know what I mean. Like when they first shut down the NFL draft, I think their goal was, okay, we're going to shut this down for people to come here, but we're still going to have a few, again, the essential workers that everyone's always mentioning, that, we're going to have the few essential here. I thought that was their plan. And then they got rid of it all. Now Roger Goodell apparently is going to be like hanging out in his basement on a Zoom or on Skype or something announcing the picks. Yep.
Yeah. Well, his basement is probably bigger than like all of our houses combined. So I think we'll find that out. All right. So we're going to go through the top 10 right now. And then Kyle's going to do his pick. Then I'll rebuttal with mine. So who you got number 1?
Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Me personally, I don't think he's going to be the best quarterback in the draft class, and I don't even think I don't think he's definitely worthy of the number 1 pick for what he did in college, but I don't think he is the best. I don't think he's going to be the best quarterback in this draft when it's all said and done, in my opinion.
Okay.
But he deserves number 1 pick, and they'll pick him. He's an Ohio kid, and the year he had one of the best college football seasons of all time.
Yeah, definitely. His dad was a former defensive coordinator for University of Ohio. He broke all these records in high school, played at Ohio State, all this stuff. So even if, like you're saying, he's might not be the best choice here, but his stats were like ridiculous. Like he had a 76.4 completion percentage, a 60-6 touchdown interception ratio, and then he a 10.8 yards per touch. I think I heard today, I think I was listening to like Mima Kimes on ESPN, and she was like under pressure. He still had a completion percentage above 70% or something. Like that's just just wild.
Yeah, it's insane.
But that's still all right. Even if it's not like, even if like Tua was healthy, or like you're a big Justin Herbert fan, like.
Yep, I'm a big Herbert fan. Yeah. That's me. That's who I.
Ooh, are you? Oh, okay. I'm not, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
So the Bengals had, outside of the LA Chargers, they had the lowest home attendance in the NFL. So it's just like you just have to pick the Ohio kid, because like more people will just like come out and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they just need to find a way to fill their stadium. And yeah, I just think the stats that he had were just too ridiculous. I know he's kind of smaller. I think he's 6'1".
You know who he reminds me of, Dan? I don't mean to interrupt. He reminds me, people are throwing out all sorts of comparisons. He reminds me of Tony Romo. I heard that comparison, and that one I think is the best comparison. You know, he's a smaller guy, and he's not super athletic, but he's athletic enough and moves around in the pocket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't have the strongest arm. Somebody, I can't remember who it was, who compared him to Tony Romo, and I thought that was a fantastic comparison. And if he ends up having a Romo career, then so be it. But but again, like you said, it's more than just who's the best player. You got to take into account attendance, like you mentioned, and just there's all sorts of things you have to take into account.
Yeah, for sure. The other problem that he might have is just like he played a decent amount, or no, he didn't play really at Ohio State, but he played the 1 year at LSU. Wasn't too great numbers, and he just like jumped out of nowhere. So, like, where was this before? Like, how?
Well, he did get a pro offense. You know, that's what makes people think that he's going to stay that good. Because, as you're familiar, I mean, I know you're a college football fan yourself, Dan. So, LSU normally is typically the Leonard Fournettes of the world, where it's ground and pound,
Yeah.
They've never really had great quarterbacks. And so it was a whole new year for everyone. So they brought in that Joe Brady gentleman. They brought him in he worked for New Orleans Saints, and then they brought him in as the offensive coordinator, and now he's the senior offensive assistant, I'll say, but he called the plays and worked directly with Burrow. And so they brought him in, and he brought an NFL system, and Burrow blossomed. So that's why people are saying that, think about it. When he got an NFL system, look what he did with it. You know what I mean? So that's some people's mentality. I happen to be on the other end where, it's LSU. I know they run the ball a bunch, but it's LSU. You got 5-star athletes all around the field. You should be dominating every year in and year out. So it just scares me that he went from, quite honestly, Dan, a really poor season his junior year to one of the greatest college football seasons ever. Credit to him, but I think the offensive system helped, and that's why you saw the huge jump in numbers. To answer your question, and in my opinion, at
plus
least.
Like a late first rounder in Justin Jefferson was one of his wide receivers. So it's
wide receivers. They have the other guy, Jamar Chase. He was a sophomore last year. He's a junior this year. He might be a top 10 pick next year.
Yeah,
he's that good.
Yeah, so they're just studded. All right, moving along to number 2. Who you got here?
I know it's the Redskins, and the Redskins. I mean, I'm a Browns fan, so I can say this and mean it because we're the same way. But the Redskins are morons. They'll somehow figure a way to screw it up, but I feel like there's just no way they can't take Chase Young.
Yeah, I agree completely.
There's just no way. Look what it did for the Niners. All these, people say, oh, they've invested so much in the D-line already. Why another one? Look at the 49ers. 4 picks in 5 years, all first-round picks on the defensive line. And look at them. They bring pressure every play. They don't have to blitz anyone, and they make it to the Super Bowl.
And they just traded.
I'm not saying that'll happen to the Redskins, but
yeah. And then they traded Buckner to get a early first-round pick because they just had so much talent, and I think that'll help them. I actually think that Chase Young is like a better football player than Burrow, just like all around, because he's just like the complete package. He's everything you want in like an edge rusher. He's just like super powerful, can hang with all of like the tight ends or something. Ron
They're
Rivera.
comparing him to Myles Garrett coming out and the Bosa twins.
Oh yeah,
But
no,
I even think he's a little bit better than all those guys, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
At least right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Those guys are really good, but those guys were more potential. You know what I mean? Chase Young put up the numbers at Ohio State and still has that potential.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. Because Bosa's definitely where, like, especially I think Nick was just like, oh yeah, he's like Joey's bro, like, he'll do great. And he ended up being phenomenal, too. So,
and arguably better than Joe, at least last year.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so like Ron Rivera is a defensive coach too, so they'll, I think, definitely want to shore up that side of the football.
Yep.
Even though they were kind of sneaky okay at defense, I think it was much more their offense was the issue.
And Dwayne Haskins, towards the end of the year, he showed a lot of promise.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that times are tough right now with the coronavirus or the quarantine going on, but he's in, you know, I see videos all the time on Twitter and stuff because I follow every NFL analyst, person involved in the NFL known to man, and I see videos a lot of Haskins still at the facility as much as he can be with what's going on, working out and everything. And I'm with you. Like, build up the defense and then keep him. He showed a lot of promise last year. He's still young, Dan. I think he just turned 22.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, I understand that Arizona did great in trading away Josh Rosen to get Kyler Murray, but like, I don't know. Like, if you try to go for like Tua, what if it like his hip thing is bigger? Yeah. Like, I don't know. And like Chase Young is too good. Like, I think you could argue Tua like at a, you know, like the 5th or 6th, which most projections are showing him there. Just like 2's like way too early for that.
Yep, I agree.
All right, number 3, the Detroit Lions. Who do you have there?
I got him taking Okudah. I know so far it's gone pretty much chalk. I know that's like everyone's first 3, but I mean, they traded away Darius Slay, so bring in Okudah. You know, and some are arguing Okudah is he has the potential to be even better than Darius Slay, and Darius Slay's an all-pro corner. So I say you go Okudah.
Yeah, I completely agree too. Just the same points you made. The trade Darius Slay. He's incredibly aggressive on press coverage. So he's just he's so in your face. I think that's exactly what you want in a corner these days.
That's the system Patricia likes too. If you'd see, New England does it a bunch with Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
You know, Stephon Gilmore's running a lot of press. A lot of the other time, the other corner's running zone, but Stephon Gilmore's a lot of time, you know, right up there in your face. And
yeah, definitely. He'll definitely fit that system. He's pretty big too. He's like 6'1" or so. So like any of these,
and he's from Ohio State, and we see how that worked out for corners in the past. So
yeah, exactly. So I guess he only started one season for Ohio State when I was looking this up.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, he did. Yep.
Incredible one season, but that's like just the one kind of backdrop.
Well, that's because he was thinking, like I just mentioned, you know, he was behind Marshawn Lattimore.
Oh, right.
Behind Denzel Ward. He's behind Gary and Conley. You know, he's behind all these other guys who were first-round picks.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. It would be hard to break out then. So, I think it's pretty easy. Pretty chalked up. Ohio State has 2 picks. And then we're moving to the New York Giants. So, what do they do here?
So those of you, really quick, Dan, I know that I mentioned this before, but on my Twitter, at Benchmark Kyle, I have posted a mock draft. I posted it last week. So far the first 3 picks have stayed the same, but in that mock draft, I didn't mock trades just because it's hard to mock trades.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
so
for sure.
If the Giants stay still, I see them taking Isaiah Simmons. You know, Gettleman's kind of a wild card, like we already mentioned a little bit earlier, but Simmons is just, honestly, he could play anywhere on the defense. He really, truly can, outside of defensive tackle. But I actually see a trade here. I actually see the Chargers trading up ahead of the Dolphins to get the quarterback that they want, and I see him drafting Herbert, to be quite honest with you. I see the Chargers trading the 6th pick to the Giants, so swapping first-rounders and then giving them the 37th pick. So basically giving them their second-rounder to move up 2 spots and then draft Herbert. But if the Giants stay where they're at, I think they get Simmons. Although I think they get Simmons either way in this mock draft that I have here. But I have Chargers trading and going Herbert.
Okay. I think that would actually be smart if the Giants traded back because, like, especially if they traded to the Chargers, they're picking a quarterback. Miami should pick a quarterback. So,
Yep.
you're still going to get Simmons at 6th. It's almost like the 49ers, how they, with Trubisky, how they traded back.
they're
Where it's
fully
they're like, oh, we're going to
Chicago.
pick him. No, they're not.
Yeah.
So they can always do that. The problem is the Giants. It's David Gettleman. He's not that great or, savvy. So I don't,
And he's never traded back.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Dan. Never traded back once.
yeah. I mean, honestly, if they do just sit and, I also have Isaiah Simmons, pretty much the same reason why you do. He could play anywhere on the field. He was listed. He played linebacker, safety, edge rusher, nickelback, and quarterback for Clemson.
One mock draft I saw literally just named it. It said Isaiah Simmons, defense.
Yeah.
It just literally named him as defense.
It's accurate. It really is accurate.
It is.
Yeah.
Very accurate.
So I think that would be smart. They were 27th in defensive DVOA, so I think they need to add Simmons to their squad. They really need to have their corners or get better cornerbacks because they were just god awful last year. There was when they played the Bills, Cole Beasley was just open for no reason, and he gained 25 yards because he just threw it right, Josh Allen threw it right to him, and he just ran out of the field. But yeah, I'm with Simmons. So if they trade up, you think they're gonna get Herbert?
I do.
Okay.
I think they're gonna get Herbert. Now, the charge, it's hard to say, but I think that they're gonna get Herbert because it's hard. Tua, Dan, I really think that with what's going on with the coronavirus, I really think that's affecting Tua because of medicals. Doctors are coming out and saying he's fine, but these team doctors aren't able to check them out themselves. And I know, Dan, these NFL teams, they really only care about their NFL team doctors' opinions. You know what I mean? They need to get their doctors' opinions. And it's hard to do that right now because they can't meet with them in person. They can't have live meetings with these prospects.
Yeah.
So it's hard for them to get their own medical on them. And I really do think now, I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit here. I have Tua going right after to 5 to Miami because they desperately need a quarterback.
Yeah.
So I don't see him falling far, but I really do think that plays effect into this. And I also think that the Chargers are really okay with Tyrod Taylor as their quarterback, as a bench guy, or as a bridge guy, I should say, and let Herbert sit for a couple games or for a year, hopefully. And we know how that works out. Usually ends up being 6 or 7 games, but have him sit for a little bit because I really think they're okay with Tyrod Taylor. And what better way to, they're moving to LA. What better way to move to LA and then a face, get a face of the franchise guy, a guy that went to Oregon, kind of right up the road a little bit. I know that shouldn't take effect into drafting, but sometimes it does, Dan. Sometimes you draft, if you have 2 prospects that are rated the same, there's certain reasons why you draft this guy and not this guy. And some of the reasons are, like we mentioned with Burrow, because, they're a hometown kid or, you know what I mean? And so with him going to Oregon, just right up the road, I think it just kind of makes perfect sense for him to go to LA, and the Chargers enter the new stadium with a quarterback that has, in my opinion, the most potential of any of the quarterbacks in this draft.
Yeah. All right, so maybe I'll just get into my dislike of Justin Herbert. So I lived in Portland for 2 years. And there was a big game. I think it was Washington State versus Oregon. And it's not so in the Pacific Northwest they have the rivalry games is the Civil War with Oregon State, and then the Apple Cup with Washington.
Apple Cup is Washington.
Yeah. Yep. So this wasn't that, but Washington State and Oregon were the 2 better teams. And
this is when Minshew was at Washington State, right?
So Minshew owned him. And this is before, this was right when Minsanity was about to happen.
Insanity, nice.
And then he just completely outplays him. And you could argue, right, who's that? Mike Leach is just a West Coast, better kind of offensive minded, and I even forget. I think it was the Willie Taggart, I think was the coach then, but Herbert's had 3 different coaches at Oregon, which just kind of just shows you how well he adapts. So kudos to him. But it's just I just see him inconsistent, where it's he throws this bomb and it's beautiful, and then he can barely hit a 7-yard throw. It's almost I think he's a better Josh Allen, almost kind of. like mold, but like Josh Allen's
No,
kind
that's
of
that's a great comparison.
So-
And some people are comparing him to Josh Allen. That's a great comparison.
Yeah.
And that's where I agree with you, Dan. I absolutely agree with you. He right now at this moment he's very hit or miss, Herbert, or like you had mentioned, inconsistent. And he's kind of a one read guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like his one read's not open. You know, he struggles, but that's where he also why I like him, because as you saw in the Rose Bowl this year, he didn't have any passing touchdowns, but he had 3 rushing touchdowns. So when his reads aren't available, he can tuck it out and he can run.
Yeah.
Tua can as well, but hip injury, ankle injury, all those lower body injuries that Tua's had is going to make him susceptible to getting injured again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I just think Herbert right now, inconsistent, absolutely couldn't agree more, but he has the most potential. He has, he's got an Aaron Rodgers arm with, honestly, his potential is, in my opinion, his potential is Aaron Rodgers. Please don't think I'm saying he's
That's a hot take.
going to be that great. But yes, I don't think he's going to be that great, but he plays similarly to Aaron Rodgers. Think about it. Aaron Rodgers is mobile and quick and athletic when he needs to be, running outside of the pocket, and Herbert can do that. And Herbert's got a huge arm. Aaron Rodgers has a huge arm. Aaron Rodgers fell in the draft because people were concerned about, how much upside he really had. People are a little bit concerned with Herbert about how much upside he has because of all the flaws he currently. So I don't think he will be as good as Aaron Rodgers, but he has the potential to be Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Just the way
I like that
similar the way they play.
Yeah, definitely. No, he's mobile. He could pick up the first down if he needs to. So where are you at? Like, I think this is like the last 2 or 3 days. Like, Justin Herbert is too tall. I think he's like 6'6".
Is that a thing? People say Baker was too short, so now you can be too tall. So what's the perfect height for an NFL quarterback?
So supposedly, I read a Ringer article today where it's like it's 6'5". If you're 6'5" and under, or like if you're exactly 6'5", I think that's like Cam Newton, range. It's just like, okay, that's the perfect height. You can see over the line. But if you're like 6'6" or taller, it's like they're compared like Brock Osweiler, Paxton Lynch.
What's Big Ben?
I think I don't know.
Big Ben's 6'6", isn't he?
Is he really? Okay, so he might be the outlier here.
But I believe I believe you though, Dan.
Oh, Wikipedia says 6'5". So there you go.
Wow.
Right. So it's
I
like,
believe that you read that because people come up with the craziest stuff during draft week.
Yeah.
So Baker's too short at 6 foot and Herbert's too tall at 6'6". So
like a 6'2" to 6'5".
6'5".
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the
like
perfect
the range.
height.
Do you believe this? It seems like you don't, but
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't believe this. People say Joe Burrow has tiny hands and he's gonna fumble the ball a lot. It's just all Wonderlic score. Somebody said because Tua got a 13 on the Wonderlic score, that he's a moron and he's not gonna do good. I don't know. All these tests to me. Listen, for me personally, an NFL quarterback, if you're accurate and if you're accurate and you're smart and you work hard, if you're those 3 things, you're going to be a successful NFL quarterback, in my opinion. If you have those 3 things going for you, you're good. I don't need a Wonderlic test. I don't need to see how small your hands are or how tall you are. I don't need to see any of that crap.
Right.
Excuse my language, but it's just that to me, that's all it is. It's just crap. It's just talking points for the week.
Right.
I'm glad you brought it up though, because I wanted to talk about it because it infuriates me. And last year, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Russell Wilson. His hands were tiny, and people are saying, or no, his hands are large. I forgot who it was, and they said his hands are tiny, and he's going to be terrible, and now he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I can't remember for the life of me who it was, but you get my point.
Yeah.
It's just all, it's blasphemous to me. I mean, Brock Osweiler, yeah, he was terrible, but I don't think he was terrible because he was 6'8". I think he was terrible because he wasn't a very good quarterback. There's just no, you know what I mean? There's nothing else to it.
Right. I don't know. So, I feel like the height thing, though, it could be problematic because you're 6'8". Like, they could see your eyes, a lot easier than if you're, 6'5" or lower or so. But,
I will say quarterback, if it does matter at any position, it is quarterback. I will say that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah.
If you're smart, you know what I mean? If you're if you're Peyton Manning, you're 6'8", right? Obviously Peyton Manning wasn't 6'8", but if you're like Peyton Manning and you're smart and think about it, Dan, Peyton Manning didn't have the greatest arm. Peyton Manning was not what we would call mobile even in the slightest. And You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he was a fantastic quarterback because he worked hard, he was smart, and he was accurate. If you are those, and again, if you're those three things, I think you're a successful quarterback. If you're a smart quarterback, you can figure out how to work your height to your advantage. Like you mentioned, you read their eyes and stuff, and you know that I could see where you're coming from there. Absolutely, they're taller. It's easier to see what they're seeing over the line and everything. But you know, if you're a smart quarterback, you'll realize, okay, you know, if I get them to bite by looking this way, I'll go this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
kind of how you make it work.
No, it's definitely true. Like the quarterbacks we listed just weren't that intelligent, anyways. So like
Brock Osweiler, he wasn't even that good at Arizona State.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't think it's because he was 6'8". I just think it's because he wasn't very good.
Yeah, yeah. And they made a point where it's like if you're taller, you're like less mobile. But that definitely wasn't the case for Brock Osweiler. And they stated that too because he was actually like fast and stuff and could get out of the pocket.
Yeah, he pretty was. And Josh Allen's tall, but he's not Brock.
See, Josh Allen's 6'5" though, so he's tall. He's in the like.
Oh, so he's in the threshold. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
He's under the threshold.
Okay.
All right, moving on to Miami. So you have Tua here, right?
Yeah, I have Tua. Just because it seems to me the writing's been on the wall since last year. That's kind of who they've been going for this whole time. Again, it wouldn't surprise me because they have also the 18th pick and the 26th pick. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly, Dan, if their offensive line is atrocious. It would not surprise me if they took one of the big 4 offensive tackles here and went quarterback later in the draft. But as you know, quarterback is what wins games in this league. So I think they go Tua. But again, I'd be concerned with Tua. I was concerned with Tua even before the injuries. He did fantastic at Alabama, but if you think about it, Dan, he had Ridley to throw to, who went first round in the NFL. He had Jerry Jeudy to throw to, who's going to be a first-round pick. Henry Ruggs, who's going to be a first-round pick. Devontae Smith is going to be coming back to Alabama next year. He's going to be a first-round pick next year. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard not to do that good when you have all these first-round picks around you. So I always thought that, I thought maybe he wasn't going to be great, but I think that he's worth the 5th pick, and his potential is Drew Brees, or at least that's what word on the street is. They're comparing, they're saying he's a left-handed Drew Brees.
Yeah.
And I can see it, the way he plays. He's accurate with the ball. He's not that mobile, but he can be. So I see Drew Brees.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's not to talk about height again, but it's the fact that he's like 6'1", and Drew Brees is kind of short too.
Yep.
What's wild about this whole thing is that the Dolphins were the most active tanking professional football team like ever, and they ended up winning 5 games and got the 5th pick, and now Tua just like lands at their lap. Like it's just wild that like last year
how it all worked out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think
it also goes to credit to Brian Flores, to go off topic a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
The Dolphins head coach. I thought from the beginning, I know a lot of people say this about Patriots assistants. They all think they're going to be great, but I really did think Flores was going to be great. And he proved to me last year that team should not have won 5 games. They were terrible.
No, that was great coaching. And I went to the Bills-Dolphins game in Buffalo, and the Dolphins were winning like into the 4th quarter.
Yep.
That game.
I remember that. I think the Bills wore their red jerseys that game.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah,
yep,
for sure.
Yep.
And so I kind of like. So if they tried to get one of these bigger offensive linemen, like who's Tristan Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, whoever they pick, like I kind of like that, and then they maybe not even get a quarterback this year because this is at least a 2-year tank. And I know they signed like Jamie Collins, Brian Jones, and like former Bills Shaq Lawson, a bunch of other people. So it'll probably be better next year. And like
they won 5 games this year. They might win. They really might win 7 or 8 next year.
Yeah. So like my thing was like, what if they tank 2 years, right? And they got like a good offensive line or like better defense, and then they tried to tank for Trevor Lawrence like next year.
Yeah, but you think
they're not going to be there. So
yeah,
this
they're not going to get Lawrence.
They're going to pick Tua, I think.
Jags are getting Lawrence. Want to talk about tanking? That's what the Jags are doing right now.
I can totally see that.
We'll go on. We can move on to talk about that later. But
I think that's pretty much it. I'll just a stat that I found too. So he had a touchdown percentage ranking of 12.7%, which is the highest in Division I history, and is 2 points higher than the next person. 2
what does that mean?
So, touchdown percentage rate? It's like the percentage.
Every 12 throws, he throws a touchdown?
Yeah, they're like less than that. It's like 9 or so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he had, I think, 80 touchdowns. I don't know. I don't have it up.
I will
but-
say he played fantastic. And again, he is got all the potential in the world. It just injuries scare me. The way the world is right now and not being able to really do medical checks like you want to, that scares me. And I don't know. It just scares me because he just quarterback with lower body injuries, and Tua's a somewhat mobile guy. Now he may not be a mobile guy anymore. I don't. But yeah, they got to go Tua. Who else could they go? I mean, you said offensive lineman. That would make sense to me too, and maybe go for a quarterback next year. The quarterback draft class next year is, they say, going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but yeah,
we'll see.
Like you said, they'll be better. They're not gonna, I think, win less than 5 games next year. So
now, what would you say about this? I would not do this, but word on the street is they've attempted to. So I'll ask you, I'm the Dolphins, you're the Bengals. I'm offering you 5, 18, 26, and next year's first rounder to move up to Joe Burrow. You've moved down to 5 as the Bengals. Are you doing that?
So four first-round picks to get Joe Burrow?
Yep, you get my 5, 18, and 26 this year, and my first next year. Are you doing
I
that?
would not do that now. I would just be like, I'm going with Tua. Because, I know it's all the medical stuff, but, he actually might be a
if you're
better
the
quarterback.
Bengals. Are you
the
the Bengals? Are
Bengals.
you
Oh,
doing
yeah.
this?
Yeah, I'd do that, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you're the Dolphins, you're not.
Yeah, because
Okay,
I think
I
the
wouldn't
Bengals
either.
the
Yeah.
Bengals have a ton of holes. I know they have,
Ton of
AJ
holes,
Green,
yeah.
and their,
No, ton of
offensive
holes.
line should be better because it's kind of battered, but,
Their defense is horrific.
defense
It's
is
terrible.
awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just if I could get more picks, of course I'd do that. I just don't think Miami would do that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the Chargers. All right, who do you got? Or at least the sixth pick.
Like I said, I have
The
them.
trade.
I have Giants here with Simmons. So basically, I have Chargers moving up to 4 and taking Herbert, and then to get ahead of the Dolphins. If that doesn't happen, then I would have the Chargers taking Tua here because I would have the Dolphins taking Herbert. I think the Dolphins and Chargers both want Herbert more, so that's why I have the Chargers jumping ahead. So I have the Giants at 6 picking Simmons. But if the trade doesn't work out, I would have the Chargers here at 6, and I would have them taking Tua.
Gotcha. Okay. This is where I kind of diverge because, pretty much everyone I think has Herbert at least 6th. Like I said before, I'm not a big fan, so I'm going to think the Chargers are going to pick Andrew Thomas, the Georgia offensive lineman. So I don't really know too much about, specific offensive linemen, in college football, but, Georgia had the best offensive line this year, and he was the captain of that team, so I'm assuming that he's the best, lineman out of this draft. And we'll just see that, in, a couple of years if that pans out. But, so the Chargers, all you heard last year was that they had no offensive line to protect Phillip Rivers. And if they really want to, I know they have Keenan Allen, they still have Derwin James on defense. They have a lot of talent. So
they have a lot of talent, man.
Yeah.
They could win, honestly. If Tyrod plays like Tyrod does and doesn't turn it over, and he could throw for more than 150, then they could win 10 games.
Yeah, I mean, they had a weird season last year too because they lost a lot of close games. Their kicking game was awful. There's a lot of bad picks. They could have easily been a much better team, and it just didn't pan out that way. And so I think I know you said this a bunch, but I think they're okay with Tyrod, so I feel like they could run with him. Maybe draft a quarterback later. Maybe wait till next year. I don't really know.
No. That's smart because, like you said, they need linemen, and I just with the way Anthony Lynn, their head coach, the way when he was coordinator at Buffalo, the way they ran that offense, the way he wants to run their offense, he wants a mobile quarterback. Hence why they paid. If you think about it, Dan, they paid a lot of money to get Tyrod there just to be a backup.
Yeah.
For a back, you know what I mean? That's the way they want to run. It would not surprise me if they go offensive line and then come in round 2 and they go and get Jalen Hurts. It feels to me like Jalen Hurts is an Anthony Lynn type of player.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just kind of funny now thinking too, because I didn't even think of this where it's Anthony Lynn and Tyrod, again, just in a new city.
Yep.
But yeah, I can totally see that picking Jalen Hurts or maybe Jordan Love gets that later. So, yeah. All right, number 7, Carolina Panthers. Who you got?
Derek Brown.
Yeah.
They lost Dontari Poe. They lost Gerald McCoy. They still have Kawan Short, but that's it, really. That's all they have. They lost Vernon Butler. He went to Buffalo. They lost Mario Addison. They lost a lot of their defensive line, so I got them going Derek Brown.
Yeah, same thing, and pretty much the same reason. They just lost 3 defensive tackles. They're pretty much going to want to get the best one there, and he is. So, super strong, very good stopping the run, blah, blah, blah. So I was thinking kind of like maybe they jump the gun and try to get like the star-studded wide receivers, so like Jerry Jeudy and CD Lamb.
Yeah, but they have DJ Moore.
Yeah, exactly.
They just signed Robbie Anderson, and they have They have Curtis Samuel. I think they're good.
Oh yeah, I forgot they signed Anderson. Yeah,
Robbie Anderson, because he went to Temple, where Matt Rule was his coach.
Oh, okay.
So he rejoined Matt Rule in Carolina.
Wait, Rule was Baylor. Was he Temple before that?
He was Temple first, and then so he was
okay.
the coach at Temple, then went to Baylor, and they were 1-12, and then this year they were 12-1.
Yeah.
So they literally just swapped, wins and losses, and then now he's the head coach of the Panthers.
Yeah, but I agree. Derek Brown, that's a good pick. All right, number 8, Arizona Cardinals.
I have him going Wills, Jedrick Wills. I had them going receiver here originally before they traded for DeAndre Hopkins, before Bill O'Brien handed them DeAndre Hopkins. I had them going receiver, but I have him going Jedrick Wills here. He played right tackle at Alabama, but with Tua being a lefty, he could move to that was their blind side, so he could always move to the left tackle if they needed him to. But they have DJ Humphries, and they just re-signed him, and so I think they keep Wills on the right side, and I think they go Jedrick Wills.
Right. Okay. I'll stick with offensive line, but I think they're going to pick Tristan Wirfs, junior out of Iowa. Like you said, like they got DeAndre Hopkins, so they don't have to get Jeudy here or CeeDee Lamb. And he's just like a huge dude. I think he's what? Oh no, this is Beckham later. Sorry.
Yeah, Mekhi Becton.
Becton's a lot bigger, but like Tristan's also a big guy. They need to shore up their offensive line. They need to try to protect Kyler Murray more.
And that offense needs athletic linemen, and Tristan Wirfs dominated the combine. I can see that.
Right.
I can see that, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as they go offensive line, I think that's a good pick. If you go Wills or Wirfs.
I also here look out really quick, Dan. I don't mean to look for a trade up too. This, in my opinion, could be a good opportunity for somebody like Tampa Bay, who needs to win now and needs to protect Tom Brady. Maybe they move up to 8 and try to get a jump on the offensive tackles, because if you think about it, you got the Browns at 10 who need a tackle, the Jets at 11 need a tackle, the Broncos at 15 could use a tackle. So I watch for the Bucs to trade up, but if the Cards stay still, I'm with you. They got to go offensive tackle.
Yeah, because I think also after like Wills or wherever you have the rankings, where it's like I think like 10 or 11. It kind of falls off like after those picks, where it's
after those top 4. After the top. Yep.
There's really not a lot of offensive linemen left, so I could totally see the Bucs trading up or some other, like the Rams maybe. Well, they have no capital, so like never mind.
Yeah, they got nothing.
Yeah. So
unless somebody wants to take a bunch of second-round picks.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right, number 9, Jags. Who you got here?
So the Jags, to me, they're so hard to determine, like to mock someone to, because do they really trust Minshew that much? To me, it's clear as day to me that they're tanking. So they could always trade this pick to get even more picks. You know what I mean? To try to trade up for next year to go for Lawrence. So all week I had him. I think last week in my mock draft I had him doing defensive tackle. I had him Derek Brown falling to him, but all week it's been kind of going day by day. I've kind of set on them getting Jerry Jeudy, and especially today they just released Marquise Lee, so that kind of puts home my point a little bit more about maybe getting a receiver, because if they really want to see what Gardner Minshew have, they need to get receivers. They have DJ Chark, who's good, and they have D.D. Westbrook, who's good, but are any of those guys true number ones? And D.D. Westbrook seems like to me that he's always hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could see them going Jerry Jeudy, but if They also need an off-ball linebacker. They also need D tackle, so Javon Kinlaw could be a good pick. They also need corner, C.J. Henderson. So they could go all sorts of places. But I think they go Jerry Jeudy and try to help Minshew in that offense.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you there. I think they do Jerry Jeudy. I kind of like DJ Chark, but I'm with you. I think they
I do too.
Actually, number one wide receiver. Judy's incredibly fast, and he's such a great route runner.
I love DJ Chark. I think he's going to be great, but he's he needs to become more polished. He's more of a deep threat right now. He's not a great route runner yet, so I think right now he'd be a great number 2. Where Jeudy, in my opinion, he is the best receiver in this class. I've had my eyes on him for 2 years now. Before the Browns traded for OBJ and we needed a receiver, that's who I wanted the Browns to draft. And I think he's going to be the best. The prospect or the scouts are saying he's the best wide receiver to come out since Julio. So that's what they're saying. That's what scouts are saying. So I think they can't go wrong with Jeudy.
Yeah. No, nothing wrong with that. And I think at least this year you stick with Minshew. And then, you tank and then you get Trevor Lawrence. I think that's like a jab.
Even if you don't get Trevor Lawrence, you have Justin Fields next year. I mean, obviously Trevor Lawrence is the cream of the crop, but Justin Fields last year proved, 50 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's no slouch.
Yeah, no, definitely. I completely agree. All right, and then your Browns, number 10.
Yeah.
Who you got here?
So, if you don't mind, Dan, I'd like to tell you what I want them to do. What I think they'll do is I think they stay put. I think they draft Andrew Thomas if he's still available. If they don't draft him, I think they draft the other lineman that I have available, which is Tristan Wirfs. I know Mekhi Becton's also available, but I really don't want him. He reminds me of Greg Robinson. In my opinion, he's got bust written all over him. So I don't want him. But they need a tackle. So, I mean, whatever. Get who they think is good. So I think in this draft that we're doing or this mock that we're doing, I think that they go Andrew Thomas. But as a Browns fan, what I want them to do is I want them to trade that pick to the Broncos. There's been rumors about the Broncos wanting to trade up for one of the receivers. And so I think we should trade back to 15 with the Broncos, let the Broncos trade up, give us their second-round pick, and then maybe even their second-round pick and then a fourth-round pick, because it's moving up from 15 to 10 isn't a lot. But it's kind of a lot because – at 10, you have a great offensive tackle, where at 15, Dan, all the great offensive tackles are probably going to be gone. So you need to get as much value as you can. I want them to trade back and draft a linebacker at 15 because the Browns need that almost as much as they need a left tackle. Their linebackers, the only proven one is Mack Wilson, and he was a rookie last year. So is he really that proven?
No.
You know what I mean? He hasn't even played a second year. Yeah. So they really need a linebacker. I want them to move back to 15 and draft Patrick Queen or Kenneth Murray, one of the linebackers, and then take that extra second rounder from Denver and then maybe trade back into the first round. I know the 49ers at 31 are looking to get more draft capital. So maybe trade up to 31. Get Ezra Cleveland, the offensive tackle from Boise State. He may not be great, but he runs the system that Stefanski likes is the zone read system, and Ezra Cleveland is a fantastic fit for our system. So maybe trade back up into 31 and get Ezra Cleveland, or maybe Josh Jones from Houston. You could trade back up and get him. I know he's like a late first-rounder guy that people are looking at offensive tackle. Or, Austin Jackson from USC was a decent offensive tackle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just trade back, get more picks, and leave with a linebacker and a left tackle. But if they stayed still and got Andrew Thomas, I'd be okay. As long as they get a left tackle and a linebacker, I'll be satisfied with the draft.
Right. Gotcha. I kind of like the trading back and getting Patrick Queen from LSU.
Yeah, I think that kid's going to be a stud. Yeah. He's going to be a stud, and like I said, we have no linebackers. Our linebackers are terrible.
Yeah. So, actually here, I had Mekhi Becton, so the one offensive lineman you said. I don't know, I just think
it's okay.
He's huge. I just feel like that would be a good thing.
He's huge, but dude, Greg Robinson was huge and really fast too. Greg Robinson was out of this world at the combine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was big and fast. Just Becton scares me for 2 reasons. One, first of all, they say he already came out and failed drug tests. That scares me. We already had enough of that with Josh Gordon. 2 is he. How do I say this? He played at Louisville, and if you watch Louisville it seemed to me their quarterback was always running for their life. I didn't pay enough attention to know if it was Becton's fault necessarily, but every time I watch Louisville, I see their quarterback running for his life. So that scares me in and of itself. But Becton has a lot of potential, and if they drafted him, we need a left tackle. I can't be really, I can't be too angry.
Yeah, I mean, he is raw. I get that. And I feel like you have personal, I wouldn't say like hatred or just like bad thoughts with Greg Robinson.
Yeah.
So like I could totally
because
see
Greg
that.
Robinson, like you said, yes.
Yeah. All right, I think that kind of wraps up the draft right now. But I guess in general, so this is a pretty deep wide receiver class. Do you see any other positions that is widely regarded?
I know that there's the top 4 offensive tackles, and after that it kind of falls off. Yeah. But it's still, in my opinion, Dan, a deep class. There might not ever be, those top 4 offensive tackles might be the only ones that are great offensive tackles. But in today's league, there's not really many great offensive tackles anymore anyways, because just, coming out of college with the spread system and everything, none of the offensive linemen coming from college, I shouldn't say none, but most of them outside of like Quentin Nelson and guys like that, they're not even really ready to come and contribute anyways right away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because of the systems that are being run and stuff like that. So I can't really complain with Becton and the offensive tackle class in general. That's why I think it's deep. Just you could get guys like Austin Jackson or Josh Jones, who might never be great, but they're going to be quality starting left tackles, which again, it goes back to why I want to trade down. You could always get one of those guys in the back half of the first round. And I know that this is true pretty much every year, but the quarterback class is deep on potential, Dan. It may not be deep like, you know what I mean? It may not be deep as in like 2 years ago with the 5 first-round quarterbacks with Baker, Lamar, Josh Allen, those guys. But deep on potential. You could, for example, Jalen Hurts comes to mind. He's got all the potential in the world. He went to 2 Division I colleges and brought them both to college football playoffs. And then what he did at Alabama, where he started and then sat the bench and then started again and came in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And dealt with all that adversity. And then you got a guy like Nate Stanley from Iowa. No one's probably ever heard of him, but he's like a Chase Daniel guy, like to me, like a guy that can stay in the league as a backup and come in, a couple games here or there throughout seasons and kind of fill in. So the quarterback position is deep on potential, just guys that you can get in the 4th or 5th round that can stay in this league for a long time and even can contribute a little bit. I know you can say that about a lot of the drafts. Mostly every quarterback people draft has potential. I get that. But Jalen Hurts, Jacob Eason was a 1st-round pick. He was the number 1 overall recruit many years ago. Jake Fromm, 2 years ago, you look at mock drafts, they have Cleveland Browns 1st overall drafting Jake Fromm. You know what I mean? And now you got him in like the 2nd or 3rd round. You got all these guys, Jordan Love. I know that we talked about him a little bit, but Jordan Love out of Utah State, you have him that's sneaking up. People are thinking, oh my God, we don't want to miss on him like we did Patrick Mahomes. So now he's creeping into 1st round consideration. You know what I mean? So this quarterback class is a lot of quarterbacks that have the potential to be long-term starters in this league or be in this league for a long time, even if it's as a backup.
Yeah, definitely. I think well, you started out this off like with offensive tackles, like there's those top tier like 4 or 5 or so that'll probably be starters, like will maybe even compete for like Pro Bowl and All Pro stuff. But the later rounds ones are pretty good, and they could be like on your team if you wanted.
Yeah.
And then the quarterbacks, I completely agree with your potential thing, just especially with the top ones, because like I feel like Tua has a ton of potential, injury like prone, which is the like issue with him, like could like hurt that. And then like Herbert, I still think he's kind of a project kind of thing because he has to improve on his accuracy. And Joe Burrow, who knows what's that going to be? It could be lights out from day one, or it could be, not as great. And then so speaking about quarterbacks, Jordan Love. So where do you think he's going to land?
Sorry, I apologize in advance because this is kind of like a wide range. But
right, yeah.
Pretty much any back half of the first round, anywhere between like 20 to 32. 2 places in particular come to mind: Patriots at 23 and Saints at 24. they both come to mind as potential love guys for the fact, obviously, Tom Brady's gone. And I don't know about you, Dan, but I don't really trust a quarterback depth chart that has this Jarrett Stidham 1, Brian Hoyer 2.
No,
so,
not at all.
And then Drew Brees is, 41, and he just signed a 2-year contract. But let's be honest with ourselves. If they win the Super Bowl, he's gone, so he'll probably only be there 1 year. And then, again, I don't know about you, but I don't see Taysom Hill being a starting quarterback in this league. I mean, he's a very fun guy to watch play, and he's a great gadget guy, but I don't see him being a starter in the league. So I think 23 and 24 back-to-back, that might be a good fit for him. And maybe even 30 at the Packers. I know Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. I get that. He's out here doing incredible things. But if you remember, Dan, Brett Favre was 37 years old when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, and everyone thought Brett Favre was going to be there for many more years, just like we think Aaron's going to be there for many more years.
Yeah.
So I could see them going after him. But I mean, shoot, he's even getting top. I heard today he's getting top 20 buzz. The Raiders have picks at 12 and 19, and apparently they're very interested.
That'd be
in
so
him.
funny. It's the Raiders.
I don't know why you would want him. I think Derek Carr's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's fine. He's more than fine. I think he's almost like 12, or something.
He's got to be top. He's got to be top 20 at least.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe even
Absolutely.
top 15.
Yeah. I think Jordan Love will probably go to the Patriots just because, like you said, are you gonna play with Stidham? Are you gonna go with Hoyer? I think you need someone else there. And supposedly they're really high in Stidham. I don't see it. I don't get it.
Again, I think that's just a smokescreen thing, like I've been saying all night. I hear that too, but I don't see how in the world that's possible.
Yeah, so I don't think they're gonna fall. Well, I don't know, because the Patriots, they might wait till the second or third round and get that.
Well, I also heard a rumor that they really like Jalen Hurts. They might wait for him.
Yeah.
I also heard a rumor that I don't know if you want to call it rumors. People on the internet are calling it conspiracy theory. But that they're somehow gonna work their way up all the way up to 3 with the Lions and call up their old buddy Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn and be like, hey guys, remember when you used to work for us? How about you help us out? And they get Tua. There's a rumor out there. And then, of course, people, the Patriots haters. I'm a Patriots hater myself. I'm just not a conspiracy theorist. But people have these conspiracy theories about how, of course, the Patriots are going to go from Tom Brady and they're going to call their buddies working in the front office of Detroit and they're going to call and they're going to get Tua and they're going to be good for another 20 years. Stupid NFL. And they're saying how Saban and Belichick somehow set it up. I don't know. You could read all about it I think it's on Reddit or whatever it is. But
yeah.
So they're hearing that. But I did hear, I hear like I'm some freaking analyst, but there's rumors out there that the Patriots are set in stone on spending a premium pick on a quarterback this year. And Dan, they don't have a second round pick. So
they don't.
Premium, no.
Okay.
So they got 2/3 and 3/4 and I think 4/6. So they got plenty of ammunition to move up. But a premium pick is either first or second round. And if you don't have a second rounder, then you could connect the dots. First round is a premium pick. So maybe this is the year they finally do it.
Yeah, maybe. I thought,
like you said, it's Bill Belichick. They can't draft a quarterback and rebuild. Like you said, they could wait a couple rounds. And Bill Belichick's old; he doesn't want to rebuild and go in with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean, he's either gonna have to go with a second-year quarterback, or
that's true.
Just like Brian Hoyer,
Hoyer the Destroyer.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I don't know. They're always hard to read, in any draft.
Even the analysts don't know what the hell the Patriots are going to. Even the Patriots workers don't even know what the hell they're going to do. Bill Belichick's such a wild card.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I think that wraps up the draft. So the G League kind of got some fun players. Jalen Green, who I think was going to be a top 3.
I think he was the number 1 recruit, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's number 1. I think it was more top 3, NBA draft pick in the future. So he and Isiah Todd, who I think was top 5. So Isiah Todd decommitted from Michigan. Jalen Green didn't really have a pick anymore, but they're going to both sign $500,000 a year to play for a new Southern California G League team. So as a college basketball fan and a Bonnie's alum, do you think this is the beginning of the end of college basketball?
I don't. I think it's the beginning of the end of the one and done. I do not believe that it is the beginning of the end for college basketball. 'Cause if you think about it, Dan, these college athletes, there's very few. You just mentioned two of them, but there's very few that are good enough to even go straight to the G League. You know what I mean? The G League is offering this for. They're saying that they're offering this for every player, but let's be honest, Dan. They're not gonna, they're gonna want the guys who are one and done guys. They're only going to college because they have to. They want those kind of guys. They don't want. I love the Bonnies. They don't want anyone from St. Bonaventure going to the G League. These guys are staying there 4 years. They're 3-star recruits. You know what I mean? They don't want. So I think it's the beginning of the end to the one and done. But then again, that kind of the beginning of the end of the one and done kind of has already started a little bit, the process of that anyway. But college basketball as a whole, no, I don't think it's done. Like Bonnies is an example, but even guys like Michigan State's a big, well-known team, but even they got guys that stay there 4 years. You know what I mean? These schools that have guys that stay here 4 years, those, if you think about it, those are the teams that end up, usually for the most part, end up doing the best. The Michigan States of the world, they have great recruits, but I mean, they're not Duke and Kentucky. They're not having ones and dones. Duke's getting one and done every year, and they haven't won a championship in years. So I think it is the beginning of the end for the ones and dones, but college basketball, no, because there's still guys that have to play college ball because they don't have a choice. They're not good enough to go to the pros or to be in the college for 1 year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't really understand this whole $500,000 contract because I think the min is like $70,000 or maybe it's probably less than that.
Well, they're also giving them. It's not just the money, Dan. The one thing, again, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but
no.
They're also giving them like classes.
Yeah, the scholarship, right?
Yeah, the scholarship. They're teaching them how to manage their money. They're teaching them how to do all these things. So I actually think that it's almost it might be better than college, at least for the ones that are going one and done.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it might be better for them because they're getting a head start on life and on how to spend the millions of dollars that they're about to make in the coming years.
And they don't have to like bullshit through like a semester.
Yeah. Trust me. Take it from me, Dan. When I went to St. Bonaventure, these kids, like I said, they're 3-star athletes. They're not even one and done guys, and they don't even go to class, and they're getting freaking A minuses. I can only imagine what Zion Williamson is doing at Duke.
Yeah, exactly. So I just don't understand. Like these $500,000 contracts are probably just going to the top, 2 or so.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think that's what I was kind of hinting at earlier with only the guys that are one and done guys are really the ones that they're asking, and they're offering them that. I think they're offering $500,000 so much because well, first of all, they can.
Yeah.
Second of all, because they want to convince these guys to come. What better way to do that than $500,000? Yeah,
for sure. And so I guess next question, do you think top European prospects will come overseas to play in the G League?
I don't know. That's more hard to say for me personally because Dan, I don't know how much you follow basketball. I follow basketball a lot. I don't like follow international basketball, overseas basketball. I know of some prospects, looking at mock drafts and watching ESPN and stuff. You hear the big guys like Luka Doncic and Ricky Rubio, guys like that have been household names for a little bit. But you don't really have guys like that. So I don't think that I don't know. It's hard to say because, again, I think it goes back to if it's like a Luka Doncic or a Ricky Rubio, like the ones that, they're good enough to go straight to the pros. Okay, we'll offer you that. You know what I mean? Kind of like I was saying earlier with the one and done college players. But some of these European leagues are better than the G League. Like
that's true.
Luka Doncic played for Real Madrid. They're better out in Spain. Spain basketball is better than the G League. It's like the second best in the world outside of the NBA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
so
agreed.
it's hard for me to say if they will or not. I think some of them might because it'll get them accustomed more to the life in America. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure that probably puts a toll on them. Their rookie year, they come over from Spain. They've never been to the United States, and now they're playing basketball, making millions of dollars, living in a country that's so foreign to them. You know what I mean? So I think some people might come over because they want to get accustomed to what it's like to live in America, and also obviously they want the paycheck. But I think a lot of the guys might stay and hang out in the European leagues because they're just better. I know Luka did that. Luka could have gone pro like 3 or 4 years ago, but he stayed in Spain because the basketball was just so fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Not only is the basketball like good in like Spain and just like kind of just in Europe, it's just like it's closer to home. And if they're like 17, 18, or 19, like they might just want to stay at home for a bit and then go to the NBA, make their millions, whatever their contract is, and then just kind of like I know it's like a lot to adjust, especially I don't know if you speak the language, but like I don't know, most Europeans speak English anyway, so I don't think that's a huge problem. And like it's just the G League. I don't know, like at least like basketball scouts, they know Europe, they know the Euro League. Like you're gonna get noticed if you're good there. Like you don't have to come to the G League and like be there. So I don't really see this happening. Because I mean there are some European prospects that play college ball, which I always think that's weird. Or maybe it's not really
Weird.
Europe,
So
but like
weird, yeah.
Australian players playing. It's just like okay, that's weird. It just seems backwards. But yeah.
It does seem backwards, especially because they could go straight pro.
Right.
I mean, it's not the NBA, but it's it's still pro overseas.
Well, you got like R.J. Hampton, I think, played in New Zealand.
Yeah, see, because he skipped over. See that?
Yeah.
I know I mentioned this earlier, but that's what I meant by that. That's mainly what I was trying to get to when I think the G League is good for guys like R.J. Hampton or guys like Lonzo Ball or Zion Williamson. Guys that literally are so good that they're only going to college because they have to.
Yeah.
If there was no rule for them to go to college, they wouldn't go to college. I think for those guys, the G League would be great, and I think that they should do that because again, they're going to learn more about life in the G League in those 6 months because of the classes that they're getting taught by NBA guys or whatever than they are at 6 months of Duke when they're freaking out partying, not doing it, not going to class and doing their studies.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound terrible, but it's the truth. This happened at St. Bonaventure. All those walk-ons that you see that never play, they're only on the team. And, this might sound terrible, but like if you notice, a lot of the walk-ons are 5'10" to 6 foot white guys that can shoot because they're the ones that are bringing up the team average. Like I know at St. Bonaventure, a bunch of the walk-ons on the team, I promise you sounds terrible, but they're getting 4.0s and the starters are getting like 2.1s and they're bringing up the cumulative team average. Colleges might not admit that they do this, but they absolutely do that. And now you're cheating out, guys like that are only pretty much there to build up the GPA or to fill a bench spot because there's 14 scholarships that have to be given out. You know what I mean? And those guys can be given a chance now if these well-known guys are going to the G League.
Yeah, no. I mean, speaking on your point of the walk-on things, I could totally see that just being like, hey, you can get like a good score, like.
Yeah. One of the kids at St. Bonaventure was a genius. He was like a 4.0. He was a great shooter. That's all he could do. He could do nothing else, and he was great at shooting. But he was there because he was getting 4.0s and helping the team and building up the GPA.
Yeah. So honestly, overall, this might be good for both leagues, where it's like you get rid of the one and done. And there's so many more colleges, like Division I college basketball programs, where it's just like geographically, like the closer team is the college basketball team. So it's just like I think that's just where the fandoms are.
Not to mention these kids are now they're going to be it goes back to the being paid. These college athletes, colleges are making millions of dollars. Duke, I can't remember the exact statistic it was, but Duke last year alone, just on basketball revenues, because Zion Williamson made like $50 million or something like that, right?
Damn.
Based off of his likability. You know what I mean? So those guys are getting kind of cheated out. I think that they are getting paid through scholarships. Again, different topic. We could talk about that later. But so for guys like Zion, I think that it's good for them to go straight to college because now they're going to get money, they're getting paid for it, and they're doing all this instead of going to college.
NBA, right?
Or straight to the NBA. Yeah, sorry, because now they're getting paid for their likeness like they should. Where in college they're only there because they have to be, and they're getting used for revenue and for business purposes. And Duke is, I keep saying Duke, Kentucky, whoever you want. All these guys, they're just getting boatloads and millions of dollars off of these players, and these players don't get anything in return.
Yeah. Total bullshit, but conversation for another time.
Yeah.
It's also been said a lot, if you just read any articles or any other radio stuff. All right, pretty much wraps up this week's podcast. Thank you, Kyle, for coming on. Do you want to plug your page?
Yeah, actually, real quick, if you don't mind, thank you, Dan. First of all, I want to thank you because, coming on this show has given me confidence in talking talking about sports kind of over the phone without really stuttering or, it's given me the confidence to be able to do this. So thank you for that. But my page it's Bench Talk Media. So basically we talk about sports. If you want to follow my page personally on Twitter and Instagram at Bench Talk Kyle. That is my Twitter handle and my Instagram handle. And basically what we're going to do is it's just an Instagram page right now. I'm going to be doing more as we go on, daily posts. And again, this is Bench Talk Media is the Instagram page. And every day I'm just posting daily sports posts to get debates going. Dan, we love debating here in sports. We love debating everything in sports, no matter what it is. Michael Jordan was sick this game, or he wasn't sick this game. This is why he's the best. This is why, we like to argue. So I post a picture and I comment on the picture, and then I caption the picture, and then I go on my own personal Instagram, and then I kind of comment on the photo and get the conversation started. And then we're going to do weekly videos. I did a video last week. I had trouble uploading. I'm still figuring that out, but I'm going to be doing weekly videos, 10, 15-minute videos, kind of like what you do here, but not as long because I want to do posts, and I want to I'll do more as it takes off.
Gotcha, very cool. Yeah, and
Bench Talk Media.
Yeah, Bench Talk Media. He had a really good post, Snowflake fans, on Draft Bus today too. I did. Yes, I did. Now I only showed a couple pictures. There's obviously many more, and I know that I got a little biased and I showed more Browns players than normal. Yeah,
but
you did, yeah.
I mean, here's the thing: it happens. Usually, annually, it happens where the Browns draft a terrible player. So.
Yeah.
They kind of fit the mold of what I'm doing. And that's what it is, Dan. It's just stuff like that. The second post I ever did was basically it was just a picture of the XFL, and then it said XFL is filed for bankruptcy. And then you and I kind of spoke in the comment section about it. What was good about it? Do we want to see it back? And that's all it is. It's basically just commenting on what you think should happen, and we'll just get the debate going on the picture. And then weekly videos, and then as this takes off, there'll be more and more content available.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm always ready to argue sports on Instagram or Twitter. So that's at Bench Talk Media, right, for Instagram?
Yep.
And then
at Bench Talk Media. And then me personally,
right, yeah.
Bench Talk Kyle for Twitter and Instagram. Yep. I was going to create a whole new Twitter for Bench Talk Media, but I'll kind of wait and see where it goes. And it's kind of pain in the ass to run one Twitter, let alone two. So I'm going to wait to see where it goes, but feel free again, follow me, and then every day there'll be posts. Something this week specifically will be all draft posts for the upcoming NFL draft.
Let's get it. All right, well, thank you, Kyle, again for coming on. Pretty much wraps it up.
Thanks for having me, Dan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. If you have any questions or comments or any mailbag questions, do Snowflake Sports podcast at gmail.com. Please like and review us wherever you get your podcast, and have a good night.